What is up? It's your boy Max,
It's RJ.
and you are listening to Streaming Cassettes. 2021 is here.
Woohoo!
Our first recording session of the year. We're so excited. Sorry that you haven't seen us in a couple of weeks. We have, but we kind of like spaced our breaks. We did like one after Christmas, then we showed our year-end one, and then we took another week off. And honestly, the reason we took the last week off was because it was a 2-hour episode. So we hope that as fans, you took 2 weeks to digest our beautiful content because it was a lot to unpack. It was the top 10 songs of the year for each of us, in our opinion, plus honorable mention. So it was just wild. But I mean, obviously, we've seen each other during like the holidays. But how was your Christmas break?
It was great.
That's good, man.
I think we need it back.
I think just being Christmas break more often.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's interesting? Gary V talks about this, but he always said that like he loves like that time of year. It's like a good reset. You kind of can refocus your mind and then kind of go into the New Year's like tearing a new asshole kind of thing. Like, I think that's dope. So yeah, I enjoyed the time off. I mean, obviously it's weird in this world of COVID, but I feel like even though, let's be honest, if you've watched the world in the news, it's been kind of rough, but not to get too into that because that's not what we're here about. But I just feel this sense that once we get to like spring, I feel like the next couple months might be iffy. But once we get to spring, we really will start turning a corner of, I don't know like what normalcy is, but I feel like enjoying life. Like you can be out more in public. You're not necessarily having the mask for everywhere. There's still like some health stuff, but I feel like we're gonna get there. I just feel it in my bones this year. I don't know who, what, when, where, why, but I just feel a good vibe. And so there's that sense of like some stuffy air left the room a little bit. It's still tense, but still like, okay. At least for me, I don't know about you, but that's kind of how my outlook on this year is right now. Granted, we're only 16 days in.
No, it's gonna be a much better year, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I see memes are like, oh, I want my trial back. You know, I don't want 2021. I'm like, I knew, like, there's no way that what happened in 2020 wasn't going to kind of hang over into this year. But I feel like you really can't define how good or bad a year is, in my opinion, until you hit, like, the springtime. Once you hit April, May, you have a real kind of vibe of how the year is going to be. Obviously, there's different events. But anyway, enough about us with that stuff. We are pumped to do music and Wingman of the Year stuff. Shout out to Hunter and the guys. We just had a TikTok explode on our Wingman of the Year account for Wingman of the Year nominations. I think we're just pushing 50K views on it, and we got a few hundred followers. So we are so excited, and thank you for following us on there. Plus, my own TikTok. RJ's been pumping up the TikToks. He did a rock one, which was pretty sick. What was that? It was, I'm trying to think what was the theme of that.
Rock songs you forget about.
Rock songs you forget about. That's what it was, yes. So speaking of rock songs and other songs, we're going to actually do, what would we call this?
I would say our first deep dives of the show.
It's kind of like, remember that reality show Wife Swap? It's like album swap or music swap. Music swap. They all throw like a little title thing in the edits. Vanna White. Music swap. So here's what we did. We did
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Yes, not a sponsor. The last runoff, then we'll get to this. I actually think that we should make a shirt in the store that says not a sponsor. So that was actually my next plan because I did we haven't told them about the shirts.
Yes.
Yes, you do that. But yes, we're gonna have a shirt that says not a sponsor. I'm making it happen. Hunter, I don't care what you say, we're having it. But yes, we have our official first shirt that isn't like our logo from my bestie friend here, RJ.
Me?
Well, it was your.
What is it?
It's your brand. You are the Deathcore Vegan.
We finally got 2 shirts actually.
Yes.
They are on sale right now. Not on sale, but they're up on the website, and you should go buy one because they look amazing. I haven't got one yet, but I saw the prototype and it looks amazing.
They are on the way. I can confirm that.
I know that.
Yes. Actually, I'm pretty sure he shipped it out this week, so hopefully it's.
I only have hats coming.
Yes, I'm excited about the hats. Little Wingman of the Year hats, so you'll see us wear those too. But yeah, Deathcore Vegan. We have 2 designs. I actually designed them, and shameless plug for a sec, but they're awesome. One's a little more like maybe more punk rock vibe, Deathcore Vegan, and one's definitely Deathcore Vegan logo. So pick the one that fits you and live that brand, dude.
Pick your size too.
He's
no pun intended.
Yes, pick your size, thrash out, eat your carrots. Even if you eat the meat, because that is vegan, I'm a little more like all around. But anyway, You eat the meat, you need more fucking veggies. So fucking eat them.
Yeah, do what Tom Brady does. 90% of his plate is veggies, and that's why he's what 43.
Yeah, he's still slinging it.
Still slinging it.
He's slinging it tomorrow night, or this past tense. Maybe he's going to the NFC conference game.
He's aging backwards. He's Benjamin Button.
Dude, he is. He looks better like in the last few years than like when he was early in the league.
I think he should go totally vegan, but I like it's working for him. So
yeah,
grass-fed meat plus 90% veggies. So
and the avocado ice cream.
Haven't tried that.
But yes, let's get back to what we're doing today. We had a lot of stuff happen in the last few weeks, and we're really pumped for what the network's doing. So we did album swap or music swap, we're calling it. And we took an artist that's like really up there in our favorites that we have as personal. Like, so I have my taste, RJ has his. We're very yin and yang, but that's what makes the show awesome. And we swapped it. He gave me about probably 3 to 4 songs. We both did per each album. I did a couple singles because some of Calvin's early work was very contrast to more of the
spoiler alert. It's Calvin Harris.
The Calvin Harris from my sorry. Anyway, anyway, so we have like 3-4 songs per album. There's a couple singles peppered in there, but as you can tell, I gave as a swap to RJ Calvin Harris, and then RJ can tell you what he did.
But with a little twist, we thought, what's like a good start for Max? And Max was like, what's a good start for RJ to be like more EDM?
Yes.
So that's why he picked Calvin Harris, because I would say 70% of his discography. I know some of it, but there's Max sprinkled in some like, oh, okay, this is different.
Yeah.
And I gave him I Prevail. I thought that was a good start for the rock scene and the metalcore scene. I thought it was a good start for him.
Nice.
Because he liked one of their songs before, so I was like,
I did.
Okay.
And actually, I not to give too much away, but there was a particular song I believe I've heard before, and we'll talk about that. So that was kind of cool too. So yeah, let's dive into it. I don't know how we want to do it. Do I go from like?
I'll go first.
I have
a lot.
Okay,
you gave me a lot.
Sorry, I know. I probably gave you an extra 40%.
So this is our first time doing it. We're not gonna go through every song. We are, but not.
We'll list the songs that we gave each other, but maybe not the notes on each one.
We're gonna go through like every song, but like one song might be like 20 seconds, and then I'm gonna move on.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start with something different. So you gave me created disco, right? I created disco. It came out in 2007.
Yes, this was interesting.
I want to put that together with his singles.
Okay.
I want to put those together.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Okay. So let's do I Created Disco. Let's do Accept It in the 80s. Okay. So
from 2007.
This is like his first album?
Yeah, he had 2 out. I guess for people at home, if they're wondering, I Created Disco and Ready for the Weekend are the 2 albums before he popped off. And the song that really popped him off, it was We Found Love featuring Rihanna. I mean, that's something, if you don't know, that's kind of like the before Jesus, after Jesus part with Calvin Harris. But to be fair with this whole project, I'm like, all right, let me find songs that I think might be interesting. I don't listen to them all the time, but I did a quick skim. I'm like, okay, I think this will define Calvin in the early years.
I'm not going to give you any facts about these people. I mean, we might as we go, but you guys can just Wikipedia these guys, and because I don't know where they're from. You probably don't know where Calvin is from, but
UK.
Is he?
Yeah, he's British.
Interesting.
British
I could tell when he just sings.
Yeah, the British always have freaking good artists.
Okay, so Accept It in the 80s was interesting.
Okay.
This is my thoughts on it. It's okay. I think it would be better without the vocals, because I think the music vibe is really good. Like it's a 5-minute song and it kind of repeats. But the thing is, what I like about it, it's like it kind of like locks into your head. It kind of catches you like on the 2-minute mark. Like, okay, this is pretty catchy. So I did add it to I have a playlist called A Little Bit of Everything. So if I'm driving like 3 hours with a bunch of people,
yeah,
I'm like, okay, I'll put that playlist on because it has like Lady Gaga, but it also has like Impending Doom. So
yeah. It's
like for everybody. So I did add it to that because I thought the music was catchy, but it's nothing I go to.
Yeah, that's the same for me in this catalog. I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much that song. If I try to remember it, it's very much. It reminds me of like Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, Daft Punk vibes. Not as nicely executed, but it's in that.
No, I don't like that song.
No, but it gives me that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I like this better. I think Accepting the 80s is better than that song.
okay, that makes sense.
Because this one, after the 2-minute mark, you're like, oh, this keyboard arrangement and beat is actually pretty catchy, even though it's repeating.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Faster, Stronger, it's like 5 minutes of them just saying that. It's like, okay, come on.
Right, kind of.
You guys are better than this.
Yeah, I mean, with this, I think it's interesting is you can tell before 2010, really, that like this 2005 to 2010s EDM was going through this growing pains of like what the 90s house was to what the current, well, not current, but like the bigger room sound of EDM between 2010 to 2016. Now I think it's kind of going back to either like more of a 90s house vibe or like a slowdown, but that's a whole nother episode. But yeah, it was very interesting. I'm like, I don't listen to those first two albums often. I was like, I need to like find what I think that defines the whole album. And I thought that one fits the bill.
Yeah, so that's my feeling on that.
Okay.
And then we'll do Ready for the Weekend, and then we'll go to his singles.
Okay.
Because I think 18 Months and then the Funk album are gonna take a while.
Yeah.
The only note I have for You Used to Hold Me was it's a very good bop. That's all I have.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good song. I did kind of sample the rest of it, and I feel like this is like one of the better songs on that album. But I just it's a very good bop. Like it's very simple, it's to the point, and kind of gets you going. Like it's to the point. It's very simple. That's what I like about Calvin. Is that a lot of his songs are very, very simple, but they get to you.
Yeah, there's like a quality over quantity kind of thing. And with this one, the only thing I'm trying to remember from footnotes for myself listening, I feel like this is the hybrid between the 18 month sound and the I Created Disco sound.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell this is like the bridge one where I'm like, okay, things are getting different.
And let's go with singles.
Right.
The singles I didn't really vibe with.
Okay.
How Deep Is Your Love is very good, obviously. I think everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Giant was okay. I think the rapping kind of got annoying. And then I just didn't feel the Dua Lipa one. And I don't know if I just don't like her. I'm not saying I don't like her. I think she's probably a nice person. We follow her.
Yes.
Because we got to, have the brand.
Yes.
50-50 here. But, yeah.
but
I feel like his singles are almost like a hybrid of the disco and then the weekend vibe. Because they have that simplicity to them.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, they are catchy. I think One Kiss is not that catchy compared to How Deep Is Your Love and Giant.
Yeah, I would say those two are the stronger ones. I did that one to be like, okay, it's a big enough song that's like kind of like his house reinvention. I felt of recent. That's like, okay, it would be worth like putting it in there.
Mm-hmm.
I will say Dua Lipa, I feel from at least people that I know, she's a very polarizing person. I think either some people really like her or some people aren't fans of her like sound. I guess that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But interesting. I was wondering how you felt about Giant. I like the drop in Giant, and that's why I was like, okay, if you put that in. And then of course I had a feeling you would know How Deep Is Your Love, but I'm like, that I couldn't deny that one. There's a couple of the main streams on here that we got rid of for this because I got a little too geeked out. But yeah, that was one. I'm like, I have to keep that one in.
So let's ask the question that I brought up to you this week before we get to the good stuff.
Sure.
Do you feel that EDM artists, certain ones that they get big because they start working? Now I'll talk about I Prevail and how they develop too. But do you think because they get the big artists after a couple albums, is that when they pop off? Or is it different in the EDM realm? Like they're already popping off, they just haven't had that break.
Right. Okay, so you have a good point because you and Aubrey brought this up. What is it? Are they getting big off the features or are they getting big off themselves? Right? Is that kind of the core question?
Yeah.
I think Calvin definitely shot out into the scene because of features. Because if it wasn't for "We Found Love" by Rihanna, which I think that was planned by a label, which that makes sense. It's a marketing thing. I think he has his own talents from there, but I do think his features, at least to start, was what got him on the map. Another perfect example of that, too, a fucking T, is David Guetta. David Guetta needed those features to get popped off, and then actually with him, a lot of his more original stuff without features or like lesser known artists have like faded away. Calvin has kind of stayed like Feel So Close. I don't want to dive in too deep because we have thoughts on that, but that's a good example of one that he did that I felt like was its own and it worked out. He didn't need a feature. It is interesting. I think these artists definitely were very featured heavy in the EDM scene, and I think I'm trying to think of like an artist that kind of made on their own without features. Zed had a very underground vibe, and then once he got features, he went mainstream. That's another one. I would say well, that's tough too because they. So like the Chainsmokers did like original stuff that people loved, and then once they got features, they almost feel thought they kind of became washed up, which is weird, but that helped them as well. I know I'm trying to think of anyone that's made mainstream without features. Because even Martin Garrix, like he had Animals, but it wasn't until Name of Love with BB Rexa that he really became more of a household name. Um, but what's tough is like I think in EDM circles though is that there's gonna be artists they appreciate for drops and stuff. You know, it's kind of you're debating between what's in the scene with any genre is being appreciated versus what does more radio friendly mainstream music appreciate. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's the other thing I was thinking of too. Like when you start to get ground, like he got in probably his first two albums, got some ground. Oh, he's this guy. Hey, this guy's pretty big in EDM. You should work with him. Like I think record companies see that and they see the moneymaker and they go, hey, he's pretty catchy. You should work with Rihanna because he seems pretty catchy. He seems to know what he's doing. I think record companies see who's upcoming and they go collab, and then it explodes. That's another, and plus money, I'm sure. Like once he has enough traction, he can be like, I can work with Rihanna now. I can work with Florence Welch because I have a name for myself, and then I make more of a name for myself, and then I can work with Katy Perry.
Yeah, you know what I think is actually the one of the few artists I can think of from electronic that probably didn't have that boost up, but made on his own in a whole different realm was Skrillex. But he made because of how I think obscure to the market dubstep was. Like it's such a hyper like rise to like fame in 2012. And then off that, he was able to get a lot of other jobs and gigs, and he kind of made his own name that way. Because there wasn't any big names on his album for when he was kind of like peak dubstep moment. He's one. Like okay, you know some names they made on their own without really a bunch of features, but they had to take a long road, like 20 plus years. Was like Tiesto and Armin van Buuren. They took forever, but obviously they were like about as old in the game as like a Daft Punk, for example. So that's some interesting like avenues you can consider too. But yeah, that's kind of my feeling. I think that obviously the features help, but there's certain artists, you're right, that like you're thinking more of the feature than the artist. I think even though We Found Love was more like a Rihanna song with like this Calvin dude did it, 18 months when we get to that, and other songs like solidified his own stake where he had some credence, I feel. That's my opinion.
Let's go to 18 months. Speaking of. So, okay, we'll start out. Feels So Close is just, downright a classic. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I think you played a lot of these songs at WAV, to be honest.
Yeah, that was the glory years of the albums.
Very simple song. We don't talk much about it. It's classic. We all know it. If you don't know it, you know it.
Yeah.
You just don't know it's by Calvin Harris, probably.
What were the two we took off? We Found Love and I Need Your Love, right?
No, we keep that. We kept We Found Love because I want to talk about it.
Okay.
We took off the other LA Golding song, which is whatever you
I Need
said.
Your Love.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I don't like that song. I don't like her voice in it.
Okay.
But I like her voice in another song that he did. So we'll get to that.
Stay tuned.
We Found Love. New appreciation for this song. I think it's her best song. I know a lot of you will probably say, you probably like Umbrella. No, I don't. I actually don't like that song that much. I think it's kind of weak for her. She doesn't really show her vocal ability in Umbrella. But in this one, she definitely does. It's very clean. Not much overdub in her voice. It's probably her best vocal performance, in my opinion. And then you got the catchy keyboard in that. And then even the drop is good, like in the chorus. The drop is very good too, especially for such a mainstream song. To put a good drop in that takes a lot of gut to be like, I'm gonna put a drop in this and everybody's gonna love it. And they did. it was a popular song, and I have a lot more appreciation for it.
Wow. It's one. I would say it's one of Rihanna's top 5 tracks, no doubt.
Easily.
It's really a solid track, and kind of interesting is even though 18 months came out in 2012, that came out in, like, I'm pretty sure 2010. Like, it was really early. It was like 2010, 2011. So I think it was more that single blew up, and then they just threw it on the album as like an extra add-on. But
Really?
yes,
Interesting.
me find the release date. Not to interrupt while you're looking, but
That is very interesting. You know what else is interesting? We have a lot of podcasts on the Wingman of the Year, and
Yes.
you should go to our website and check them all out. We also did something fun last week
oh, it was so much fun.
that we're not going to talk about. It'll be out. It was a game show. It was the second or first?
Yes, so second. I was the defending champion of Are You Smarter
second
Than a Wingman?
edition of Are You Smarter Than a Wingman? And the winner was somebody on the game show.
Yeah, they may or may not be in this room.
They may be in this room. They may not be.
But you need to watch it.
You need to watch it.
But yeah, no, it was pretty fun. That's why we skipped last week, because we wanted to do that commitment, and it worked for our schedule. So not 2010. I apologize. It came out September 22nd, 2011. So a whole calendar year before 18 months came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that a play on words? Maybe
The play on words.
18 months later.
Oh my God, maybe. That'd be worth researching. I know I wish I did that for this, but okay.
Okay. Nothing. Nothing. The next one is Drinking from the Bottle by, how do you say his name?
Tiny Tempa.
Tempa. Okay. So it's as you read it. Because you know how some rappers are. No, it's Tana Tempa. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It says tiny though. Here's the one thing I like about this song. I did add it to a playlist. So this is in my like song. So I like the tease it does. It teases you before the drop, and then it hits you.
Yeah.
It's like the build up, the typical EDM build up, and then it stops, and Tiny does some stuff, and then boom, it drops. And then that's why I put stars around it, because I really want to talk about this, because I liked how it just like teased you. You know how EDM is, it's like and it drops. This was like wait a minute.
We're drinking from the bottle. It just goes right into it,
And I like the keyboard in this. It was very catchy. At first, I'm like, oh, I don't like Tiny Tempa's vibe in this, and then it got better as it went on, because I like his written in the Star song. It's really good, but of course, one hit wonder for him, which I kind of feel bad, because I feel like he has a voice because he's African.
Well, he's from the UK, so he has like that Cockney rap vibe.
So I think it would have been. I think he would have been a great artist if. I don't know. You never know what happens. You have one good song and you just
fade off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name. I want to say it's One Time or Till Next Time. It's with Wiz Khalifa. That's a very underrated song that didn't get enough love. We'll bring that up someday. But yeah, no, that one I did, because I'm like, I knew this would throw you through a loop. It makes no sense for like that album to have that vibe, but I'm like, it works, because Calvin Harris had some other collabs with Big Sean. One you have on your list that I gave you, but one I didn't. But I was like, I don't think that one will do justice. And it was like a sample. It was like weird arrangement. But I'm like, this one will work, I think, for what RJ will appreciate. So that's why I was intrigued at if you'd like it or not. So yeah, that was a good one.
Move on to Sweet Nothing.
Yes.
Pretty good. I know it. Very simple song. Again, very simple, but very catchy. Again, seems to do this a lot. Makes it simple, but makes you're singing it the next day.
There's an inside joke with that song in my family complex with my Nicole and them.
Really?
I wanted to bring. That's why I put on the list mainly, was besides your review, I wanted to bring this up. So Emilio and Bruce, some of the guys in the family, like family friends, they had a joke back then that they misheard the lyrics. Instead of Sweet Nothing, they thought it was Sexy Loving. So they would just blurt out like in horrible pitch, Sexy Loving. And so that was always like the running joke of that summer. And I have good memories from that year. So really random.
I can see that, but yeah.
Yeah, so Sexy Loving, but no, Sweet Nothing with Lawrence Welch.
No, it's a very good song. Drop is very good. Heard it many times, but once again, he somehow makes EDM simplistic and it catches you somehow. I like it. The next one you have is Thinking About You. This is the one that I noticed that he changes up a little bit in his songs, and then I went back to listen to some of the other songs, and he does this again. He'll add some sprinkles in there. Two Man does this too. A little sprinkle in the next verse instead of doing the same. They do the same drop, but they'll sprinkle something else in. And I noticed it really in Thinking About You. Great sound, great. The production on this song is very good.
Yeah.
And the drop very good. But like I said, for this one, I noticed his sprinkles in there that he'll add some keyboard magic, and then like, oh, what's that? But he does it in the other songs too that I previously listened to. So that's what I noticed about this one.
Yeah, that one I feel like has more of like a new age, but it kind of has that house vibe, and that's what I like about it when I hear it. I'm like, okay, this is different. It wasn't like the classic like it was just kind of the steady the whole time, but it still had different unique pieces as well.
Mm-hmm. So Motion, of course, we know what Summer is.
Yeah, from 2014.
Another classic. We can skip that.
Okay. Yeah,
I've heard that many times. Classic song.
Yeah, Summer feels so close to like they're not the same, obviously, but they have the same, I think, emotion to it.
And the vibe, yeah.
Yeah, same vibes.
Let's go to Blame, because outside I have a lot. Blame, I've heard. I never noticed how good the vocals are by John Newman.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good vocals. Definitely a classic. Like, I did not know how good the vocals were. Like, damn. Like, you should go. If you're listening to us, go listen to this song. Pause. You don't have to pause. Actually, watch the whole thing. Then just remember that I told you to go listen to Blame by Calvin Harris. Because the vocal performance on that is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't think we know who John Newman is anyway. So,
other than that song, Love Me Again. He was a one-hit wonder.
Of course he was.
Yes.
Another Tiny Tempo. Jeez. Hashtag we should support Tiny Tempo.
Yeah, bring back Tiny Tempo. We should do a petition for that.
Yeah, we should. Who do we go to? The record company?
Yeah. Or find them on social. That'd be, dude, I just thought of a funny segment. We should find relatively one-hit wonders from like at least a decade. Like most people get interviews for one-hit wonders, but it's always like your classic hits like the Macarena or like Baha Men. Right. It's always like the ones they always drag out of retirement. Let's find ones from our generation. I need some love.
Well, Rick Ashley's come on the show because he does covers on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
He's having like a little comeback.
Yeah.
An indie comeback.
Are you listening, Rick? Come on the show. That'd
be awesome.
That'd be awesome. That would be fun.
I'm very curious about the next two, how you're going to unpack them.
Oh, yeah. That's true. We'll leave under control for last.
Okay.
Outside, I do love this song. I think it's one of my favorite songs. This is when her vocals are not annoying.
That makes sense.
Especially in Love Me Like You Do and the other Calvin Harris song, they're very annoying. But in this one's interesting. I've always liked it. I liked her vocal on this, and I love the drop. But here's the thing with the drop. When she says, now I'm on the outside, it's hard to tell if you're just a normal person, but if you're like us who can notice small things. Before the drop, that keyboard that he does, the catchy, it's very quiet. And then once it drops, it comes into like a full thing. It's still the same tone.
But he changes like a couple semitones?
But he changes the volume and the like you said, the semitones. And it's very hard to hear unless you're like, well, I've heard the song 100 times. But now I'm noticing that the pre-chorus is very quiet with the keyboard. And then once the drop comes in, it's like, it's still the same tone, but for some reason, it just feels a lot more full. And it's genius. It's genius. That's another one you should go listen to.
Yeah,
and see if you can notice that.
Interesting stuff.
See if you can notice that, because it's very interesting how he does that. Hey, maybe Tristan can explain it to us.
TED Talk it.
Yes.
I knew I was going in that you loved Outside. So I put that in as just like, oh yeah, RJ loves this song, because I remember he used to get super excited when I played it at the station. So I was like, okay.
But she's an interesting artist, though.
Ellie Goulding? Yeah, very fascinating. I feel like she flirts on the edge between... in the decade of 2010s, I feel like she's always flirted in this like in between of like a Katy Perry, very mainstream, and almost kind of like a Halsey alt vibe. She straddles the line. Like she's not super pop, but she's not super alt. She's like in the middle. Like I think Lights is a very underrated song from her.
Yes.
But you're right. I think Love Me Like I Do, like obviously like it has its pros and cons on that song, but I think it's not like her shining star in her catalog. I think Lights and this one Outside really do better work. Or I even think the newer like it's kind of darker pop track like Hate Me. I think that's a good track actually.
Is it Hate Me Like You Do? Just kidding.
No, it's Hate Me, Hate Me. It's with Juice WRLD, but it's a really cool track. Yeah, but okay.
Speaking of Juice, I'm gonna tell you after the show. Interesting fact about Juice WRLD I just found out.
Okay.
Yeah. So Outside, of course, great song. Under Control. This one.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know why it just doesn't get more love than it does.
Mm-hmm.
Because it needs it. This song, it just, you know how, what was it last song I was talking about? Oh, do you know how drinking from a bottle, it teases you, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one's just like, nah, fuck that. Fuck that. We're just go right in. He was like, 1 minute in, yeah, we're hitting him. We're going to hit him.
I'm really curious if Alesso was more in control of these drops or if Calvin was, because you're right. This is one of those collabs that we don't deserve in this world, but we got, and I'm very thankful for. It does not get enough love. It is so.
Yeah, because you sent me a TikTok of this song. It was the top 5 underrated EDM drops.
Yeah.
And I heard it. I'm like, oh, that's freaking catchy. Oh, Gavin Harris. I know him. Went to go check the song out. I'm like, what the fuck? Within a minute, it's like, okay, we're ready for this one. We're just gonna send it.
Full send.
It's a full send. And like even the vocals are so like I can't describe it. It's not great. It's not like bad, but just like it's there enough to get you hyped. Like we're under control. And then bang. It's like
yeah, I think the lyric fits the song just right. It's like the emphasis, like, all right, you're just trying to get like fucking turned up and like
wait.
Yeah.
Did he do that on purpose? Like it just like goes crazy within a minute, and he's like, "We're under control."
Oh,
you think he did that on purpose?
That'd be deep. That'd be some deep song arranging.
Maybe he did that on purpose.
Actually, we don't do it right now, but when we circle back, I'm very curious on the Lisa 3 main albums we're talking here. If you have like a favorite out of each one, or is anything pulled away from?
Okay, I'm gonna go to the. What's next? Funk, right?
Funk Wave Bounce Volume.
Okay.
1.
I put these. This album was interesting.
Very.
All got my note was they all got the same vibe. So I'm gonna ask you, how long? It was 3 years after.
Yes.
Did he like experiment with like a funk EDM vibe on purpose?
I would like to find articles, but I think he literally on purpose just threw a left hook punch out of nowhere and dropped this.
It's kind of genius. I don't want to go into the song, but it's kind of genius how he did that.
It's so genius. Like people beg and plead that he should do a volume 2. Like
I think so.
Not that his other stuff isn't bad. It's just that there's some people kind of more like the up and coming scene doing sounds like this in like electronic, more not so much EDM classically, but like electronic pop. But I feel like a bigger player should like him. It's so I love it. It's almost the whole album I dig, but it's really interesting.
I feel like Roland was the weakest song out of the ones you gave me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a Khaled is fine, but I think with Future it was kind of a weird vibe.
That makes sense.
I like Khaled, but I think with Future it was kind of like they didn't mesh.
That one I like more. It's not a single. The other 3 were singles off this album. This one wasn't. But the reason I like this one is, you're right. I think the Future part's okay. For me, it's passable, but it's okay. It's more Khalid's like hook and like the intro gets me every time. The intro I love in that song.
Yes.
But yeah, I get why that's the weakest.
And then,
that's why.
Of course, the Pharrell song sounds like a Pharrell song,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very good. Very good song. Sounds like almost like the 80s.
Yeah.
It sounds like you can't really put this into I Created Disco, but you probably could. It could pass. I feel like his production has gotten better, so I don't think it would pass.
But it has the like the undertones of it.
Yeah, and the slide was just a good, nice jam. Like I was surprised. I'm like, this is like almost like a band jam almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how he did it. Faking it was good too. Like, but they all got the same vibe, and it was interesting how he went from Motion to that. And I would like to see a volume 2 also. That would be very interesting in what he does. Because a lot of these artists are not made for like a rock genre, which is funk.
Yeah.
And somehow Calvin Harris was like, no, we can do this. And yeah, he made it vibe very well.
I think obviously I don't know which one you think is your favorite on here. Obviously, I think Slide is probably the most well orchestrated of the batch. But in the past, I used to, when I really listened to it, right, I always thought Feels was the 2 song that I liked.
Yeah, I would go with that.
But of recent, Faking It has kind of crept up on me. I think Kehlani's lyrics, I don't know why, it hits me a little different. Like Little Yachty's part is not, it's not bad. I like the line about the pepperoni pizza. Like that's kind of funny. But I feel like Big Sean's verse is stronger, Feels, in Little Yachty's and Faking It. But I like how Kehlani comes in on that song. But no, Slide, that's a whole vibe in itself. Funk Wave Bounces, Volume 1.
I do like Feels. That was good.
Feels, I do like Feels. I'm not gonna.
Out of these songs, I don't know if I could pick a favorite. It's close between Outside and Under Control.
Okay.
But then I would also go with the one I would listen to again. It would be Drinking from the Bottle.
I was gonna say, like, those two I could definitely see you liking. I was curious if there was anything you pulled from this exercise that you'd be like, okay, I want to revisit this song that I didn't even know beforehand.
Yeah. And then a new appreciation for We Found Love, like a very new appreciation for that song. Yeah, Drinking from the Bottle, I would definitely go back to, other than the other 2 I just mentioned.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I dig that. All right.
A good start. Matt, thank you.
I'm glad I did well. I was trying to give a little BTS because we always do that here. I was on the fence between Calvin Harris and T.I., and I love T.I., but I realized that he has a lot of like these maybe like just dropping albums like the last 4 years that I haven't listened to. And I don't know, it was kind of one of those like, well, I haven't really dove into those, so I don't know if I can really give a fair opinion. Like I could do a stamping in time, like we just did one album like Paper Trail or whatever. But I'm like, you know what? I think Calvin Harris works. I can speak to almost the whole like history of his career, so I could do that. I'm very pumped about this. I Prevail is what I got from our boy here, RJ. By the way, you're listening to Streaming Cassettes. Go on wingmantheater.com for blogs, shows, merch, and more. And shout out, I think in the next couple weeks, we don't know when, but our boys Chris and Soups from Wingman Sportsbook and Ballpark Figures want to come on the show and talk music. And have you noticed Soups has a musical thing he's known for now? He sings Classic by MKTO about sports things, and he sings not bad, but I feel like that's going to be his official anthem. Mm-hmm. He can't sing anything else but that song. So that's a little fun fact. Okay. I Prevail.
Here we go.
All right, this was very interesting. The biggest takeaway I took from everything before I nitty gritty into all of it is there was definitely, I felt growth, especially between the first and second album. It felt like almost, and maybe you would know, I wonder if like they came like newly together in 2014 and then they've kind of grown together through these albums. Is that kind of how they became a band, or were they?
Yeah, I could have let you watch the video to Hurricane, but I'm like, we're going to cover everything on that. So that's why I didn't say that. But yeah, they definitely have grown. That's why I said one word, development. From Heart versus Mind Trauma. So
yeah.
And we'll get into it.
Okay. So Heart versus Mind, this is the first album, 2014. Give some context. The 3 songs that RJ gave me to listen to were Crossroads, The Enemy, and Blank Space as a cover from Taylor Swift. Mm-hmm. I am pretty sure I heard that Blank Space cover somewhere in my universe, somewhere. But let me dive into Crossroads first. I did start as my favorite on this album of the 3 you gave me. Well, I should phrase this. Obviously, Blank Space is fire, but I was like, you know what? I want to pick one of the 2 as like an original to give an honest opinion on. I like that as a hybrid of like the mainstream plus like the metal side of things. The male person in this song reminds me of who I forget. I feel horrible. I'm sorry, but anyway, very much Evanescence vibes on this track. The contrast was cool. It was a solid lyric, but this one felt more hybrid between mainstream rock and heavy metal in the song. That's how I felt. The Enemy. The intro screamed Linkin Park vibes, like screamed Linkin Park vibes. And also the arrangement of this one reminded me very similar to listening to some of the Day to Remember songs.
Yes.
So that was another thing I noticed. And okay, so this was a curiosity I have for you. Does I Prevail have a punk rock background? Because there was different guitar like melodies that sounded a little punk based.
I think they do, especially with Blank Space, because back then pop was punk was pop.
Yes.
Was a big thing back then. So they were trying to find their groove, and I think mixing everything was kind of their thing in this album. I mean, it's definitely the weaker album, but still very solid.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of go into the butt rock and then the punk side, and of course, the Linkin Park vibes, which we'll get to again a lot more, especially in Trauma. But yeah, so those songs are interesting compared to the other ones which are coming up. I still very like them. They're very typical kind of butt rock, but they kind of have a solid message to them, and it's not as cheesy as the other butt rock kind of stuff.
What for the fans at home? What is butt rock? Is that like corporate rock?
That's Five Finger Fruit Punch and all that.
Okay, which is kind of like that. It's like mainstreamy rock, but it's like not too much.
Very cheesy and
okay.
Corny. Yeah.
Got you. So that the vibe. Actually, me tell you what I felt about Blank Space, and I'll tell you my whole vibe on Heart versus Mind. So obviously, I fucking love covers, whether it be rock covers, like EDM covers. I just fucking love covers. I like I said, I felt like I heard this before. I'm pretty sure you may even show me this video at the station. I just remember seeing an I Prevail Blank Space. Like as soon as that came on, I had like a flashback to witnessing a video watching this song from somebody. I will say I feel like this cover makes the lyrics more impactful.
Yeah.
Than the Taylor Swift version. Obviously, the Taylor Swift version is good in its own right, in my opinion, but I like how this works well with the lyric. The only suggestion I would have had, looking at it from a mixing standpoint, obviously they wanted to add, who's the guy singing more the deeper tone voice?
The screaming?
Yeah, screaming.
I forget, but he's like literally a second singer. He doesn't do anything but second sing, almost like Linkin Park does.
Okay, that's what I thought. He could have been not on this song, and I think it may have been a little bit better. But here's why: I'm not knocking him. I just think that the lyric would have been more. I feel like you would have got the emphasis across on it, but at the same point, that's their brand. So like, I'm not gonna shit on it because I know they have to have involvement. But overall, I fucked with that cover. It was awesome. Yeah, I guess the thing that we're gonna dive into without getting too far ahead of myself is this reminded me of like. Okay, this band's just trying shit out, and you can pull a lot of like, all right, they sound like Day to Remember here. They sound like Linkin Park. They sound like Evanescence. The other two albums, in my opinion, sound more like, okay, this is I Prevail, the band's sound. Like they're not, it's not like not so much copy and paste, but it's not like a bunch of pieces of paper you're trying to glue together. Like this is actually a piece of art that's on a wall.
Yes.
That's the difference between Heart and Mind and then Lifelines and Trauma, at least when I was listening to them. I don't know if that's something you take away, but I was actually amazed because I always joke I'm like the basic bitch of the show. I was amazed that I even observed that, but you could tell within the first song that you gave me in Lifelines, I was like, okay, they definitely got a little grown up here. There was some more, or like they've hung out more. They've done more beer pong. You know what I mean? There's been something that kind of got them to be like, yeah, man, this is our fucking sound. Because the mixing's better. I think that's the big thing to take away. The mixing was a little more simple on the first album than the other two. Mm-hmm. The way that everything got arranged. But I don't know how you feel, but I feel like Crossroads was my favorite of the three on this.
Me too.
Yeah, it's a cool vibe. And I kind of see with Crossroads where they're trying to go with their sound. So, okay. So the next one, Lifelines 2016. The songs he gave me were Scars, Come and Get It, and Stuck in Your Head. Scars. This right away I said I feel this song solidified from their last album. Solid track. I like the thrashing bits in it. That was really cool. And then of course this is what makes me think this is kind of their sound is that they had this like digital effect element, and I love that. But it's their own way because I know like obviously Linkin Park and other bands do that, but I feel like it's kind of their own version of it. So I think that's cool. Come and Get It. This one, fucking a solid hype song.
Yes.
Dude. Now, this one was interesting. The hook on this gave me a little bit of like 3 Days Grace vibe. Just a little bit of that, like, I'm trying to think what song. It's not too late. There's that song like they're angry.
There's a lot of angry songs that they have.
The Grace I Become, or no.
Animal.
Animal. Yes. Okay. I was trying to remember the bigger song. Yes. It reminded me of that track. And I like the callback in the bridge a little bit. The callback features was really fun. I like that. It worked well in the song between singer 2, singer 1. Liked it. Stuck in Your Head. This definitely has some punk vibes. This is another one like, okay, these guys have some sort of punk like background or interest because the arrangement it feels that way and the way the melody structure was. Great breakup song. I really, when the joke like, got my rocks up, I was so excited on the bridge breakdown at the end when it was like so like stripped and it was just his vocal. I was like, the song needed like that little like mix up and that felt really cool. So I like that one. I think Come and Get It might have been my favorite of the 3 on here because that one just, I want to go through a fucking wall for somebody on that song. That one's really cool.
I love Come and Get It. That's a great song. The chorus is so good, and then it just gets you pumped, like you said. And I think Scars is like, that was their biggest song off Lifelines. I was like, oh, okay, what's this? What's this band? And then Stuck in Your Head, man. If you ever have that kind of X, this is the song for you.
Yeah, I felt that one.
BTS after the show. Remind me to tell you.
Okay.
BTS after the show. Not BTS the band. They're not here.
Okay. I feel like whenever I do that tone, I sound like Jimmy Fallon's Barry Gibb every fucking time. Okay. All right. Trauma. Let's go to Trauma.
Okay.
So yes, this is kind of like wine. It's aging with time. Like this one's like, okay, we made big strides from 1 to 2. 2 to 3 is just honing in the craft. You don't have to do anything crazy. A little sage over here. A little garlic powder over here. That's what this. And the other thing too is I feel they really double down on like this kind of like digital vibe. It works. So Bow Down, you really notice the guitars in the intro right away, and the sound is really polished from their harder stuff in the previous albums. It's still hard, but it's more like you listen to and you're like, okay, this band isn't like really opening for people. They can actually headline their own tour. Like that's what you feel from Trauma. It's like, okay, they've grown up. They grown. That's kind of how I feel on this one. It definitely goes hard in the paint. I added that note. Breaking Down was the next track. I wrote, oh, interesting. Let's see. Okay, so the beginning made me think of 21 Pilot vibes.
Ooh, nice.
Like the way the vocal went, because at first I'm like, okay, they're trying to do like this little like 21 Pilots Black Bear vibey thing, like kind of. I'm not saying the mean way, but like that whiny vocal that works, like a little like angsty one, and they just go into like this like really super intense arrangement, but it was very eerie too. I liked it. It worked. The heartbeat vibes like towards the middle end of the track really made the song too. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It was like that was really cool. I don't know if that'd be like one on like constant repeat because it was good, but like I don't know if the range was too sudden, but it was still really cool. Hurricane. Okay. Oh, I wrote the digital shit I fucking loved in the song. The guitars are really well noticed. I like the fast, slow vibe in this. It's very like stop and go with like the kind of the tempo of the track itself. And I love the bridge. And it went hard at the end. I wasn't expecting that. Because at first you're like, okay, slow, fast. And then it's like, rah, just like a huge rush at the end. And that really did well with Hurricane. And then last but not least, and this might be one of my favorites from that album, and maybe because I listened to it before, is Let Me Be Sad. I love the intro and the hook. I think it's really catchy, the chorus. This one gives me like, if Chester... he was still kicking. I feel like this is kind of where LP would be going on their harder stuff. That's the vibe I get. But obviously, I Prevail's their own way. But that's like, there's just arrangements that make me think of it. Kind of like Breaking the Habit. That's kind of a vibe I got from this. Wicked catchy. I love the song. So yeah, I feel like Hurricane was really good. I liked all 4 on Trauma, to be honest with you. Yeah, my biggest takeaway you're gonna be stunned is I think you might have turned me into I Prevail, a little standy boy here. I like them. I'm gonna like. I downloaded 3 of their songs. I might go back and download more. I just was like quickly doing it, but I fuck with this band. I was like, okay, I see you, RJ. I like this band. Like it's not like it fits a vibe that I can fuck with. So, what are your thoughts on
Yeah,
what I
so
said?
like I said, I'm gonna say it again. Development, like Trauma, is when they came into their own, and now you can go watch the Hurricane video
Okay.
and see what it's about. It pretty much explains what we just talked about. Like they came to their own. They finally made their own kind of music and what they wanted to make. You can tell by his voice too. His voice got better too.
Yes, you can tell he's really like there's a rawness to the first album, which is cool, but like it's so like it just vibes so smoothly in Lifelines, but especially Trauma too.
Yeah, they definitely came into their own. They mixed the heavy metalcore with the post-hardcore stuff, which is very, very, and they do it very, very well. Still got that kind of punk vibe too, and then they added in the rapping too. I mean, not like crazy rapping, but just enough to get you like, oh, what's this? It's like they're Ben McKenty has talked about it too. Like they kind of having a Linkin Park vibe, but they do it very well. They don't do it like we're stealing it. It's
Yeah,
like,
I
it's
don't
more
want
of a,
I don't want anyone to think I think they're ripping off. Sometimes with me, I can just relate to another artist, and it makes it easier for me to like sort of explain to a listener. So when they're having Linkin Park vibes, it doesn't mean they're ripping off Linkin Park because the vocalists are nowhere in the same universe as like Chester and Shinoda. Like it's not because they're different. They're their own different thing, and the guitar instruments. Like Linkin Park is like they have guitars, but they're way more emphasized in I Prevail than in Linkin Park. Like
yes.
because Linkin Park's almost like they lean more electronic than rock. Like they're obviously rock, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah. But I Prevail, it's just there's different facets. You're like, okay, that reminds me of like the LP vibe, and I fucking love LP. So, and then the 3 Days Grace stuff and Evanescence, that's just from sort of like that intensity, different parts singing.
No, Trauma is amazing. There was a couple songs I wanted to add, but I'm like, no, I think these four get the vibe. I love Breaking Down. Breaking Down was the first song I heard by them besides their cover.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that was the first song I heard by them. I'm like, oh my god, it was so relatable, and like even the video is relatable. I'm like, holy crap, this is so relatable.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious if I watch the videos, I feel a different take on these because I just sort of went through Apple Music, just like pluck, and I just.
I think you should watch Breakdown video and Hurricane.
Okay.
Especially watch those definitely. Bow Down's like just like a movie almost. So it's a cool vibe.
So can I ask you this real quick? Did you not discover I Prevail till Trauma, or did you know them from earlier and then you just kind of grew with them?
I knew of them, but I never really got into them. And then Trauma came out, and I was like, wait a minute, this is like polished. This is weird. And they were getting a lot of hate in the August Burns Red group I'm in. So I'm like, let me give them a chance and check this out. I'm like, I can see why, especially the first two albums, maybe. But you can't give Trauma any hate. I mean, there's no hate in Trauma.
Were you hating on them for like being sellouts?
I think they were hating on them because they might be a glorified butt rock, but they're not. They're definitely not glorified butt rock. They definitely have a different vibe to them. A more relatable vibe, I would say, in Trauma.
Okay.
But it's almost like they grew, And that happens a lot.
I noticed that. And it's weird because I think sometimes in my listening thing, I either listen to people that are almost like, it's almost the opposite. Like their best work is the first one, and then they start getting less and less good. So it's weird to see the opposite where they're growing, and it's like, oh, you can tell like things have gotten better. It was kind of refreshing, actually.
Yeah.
Or like somebody listen to artists or just consistently like bangers all the time. Like mostly Kanye stuff to me, like super recent, or like Calvin. That's a good example. Yeah, it's just really crazy to see how I observe the growth just as a normie listening to this. So
I agree with you with Break It Down. That is on repeat for me.
Yeah.
But after a while, the arrangement kind of gets okay. Because they got the 2.5 minutes of like solidness and then goes down. And like, okay, I get it, but yeah.
No, I feel like Bow Down was good for stuff. I liked Hurricane a lot. I think Let Me, not to say because it was the first one I listened to, but I like Let Me Be Sad. I think it was a really cool vibe. And then for Lifelines, I think the song that kind of Come and Get It. I'm trying to think. And then Stuck in Your Head, I think was the other one I pulled from that. And then of course Blank Space, and then definitely Crossroads. So I think The Enemy, there was a little bit of like some growth patch stuff, but I liked it still.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for showing me them. Honestly,
no problem.
This was fun, honestly. I like this. I'm curious. We'll have to do this again as far as like picking artists. I don't know if we pick same genres or like mix it up and do a whole different thing. Because it was a cool segment. I think it gets you stretching out to your limits and trying new stuff. So
yeah, definitely was fun.
But I think overall, that's kind of where we're at for this week. Is there any thoughts you have before we sign off? I feel like mainly we wanted to tackle this. I guess let the fans know we're trying to like tweak our show a little bit, the way it's presented. I think we sometimes have a guilt of I call it Joe Roganing it. We go 2-3 hours, we just get super excited. And we know as a listener, you want to kind of crunch in, get it done in an hour. You're doing things. And so we'd rather give you quality in like a short period of time instead of us maybe going off tangents about like Hoobastank for an extra 20 minutes. Not that we don't mean to, but we're trying to tighten up our game a little bit. Yes. So if you have suggestions on how we can make the show a little more enjoyable for you, please let us know. We're growing just like you're growing. Speaking of I Prevail, we're growing through this development. We are a development. And I think Streaming Cassettes is sick. And we're pumped too because besides these topics, we'll do debates, obviously. But we also are going to try to get more interviews because we're both interviewers at heart and we fucking love it. And we had obviously Kyle from Chasing Airplanes. But we want to get our boy Jaron on. Shout out to him. Yankee Cowboy, right? Is that the group he's in now? But he has his own solo stuff too, Jaron Gray. We want to get him on, and so you'll see that soon too.
Yes.
But any thoughts for you on your end? Or?
Okay. Bring it on, 2021. We're ready.
Yeah, dude, we're so ready.
Wingman's ready.
Yes, download us on the podcast if you want to listen more. We have about 13 episodes before this one. So we got a pretty decent catalog in the chamber for you. But check out Wingman of the Year. You can get your shows, get your blogs, get your merch. Lots of cool stuff going on. And we're honestly doing like a TikTok a day all this fucking year. So check that out too. But until next time, Streaming Cassettes, woo! Signing out. Bye.